What's up, YouTube? It's your girl, Madam Storm LeVive, and I am back with another reading, you all. So this is going to be part 2 of the Itinerary Series, and we're going to go ahead and get right into it, alright? We're going to go ahead and start off again with the Madam High Value Directives Oracle, and yeah, get this deck reshuffled as always. And tap in, see what we got going on for part 2. Part 1 was such an amazing reading that I was excited and couldn't wait to do part 2. So here we are. Go ahead and cut. And we're going to tap in, y'all. Let's get into it. Messages for the collective when it comes to the itinerary of this lifestyle that they are stepping into. Part 2, we have streamlined the process. Alright, so before we even get into the details of what the purpose surrounding this particular to-do item on the itinerary, right? I feel like when it comes to this, okay, and the world that we are living in now, right? We are living in a very social media oriented, AI ran, just high tech lifestyle, right? And the energy is really giving streaming energy, alright, especially with this streamlined process. And I feel like even with this streamlined process, is kind of giving documentation, right? So even if you aren't streaming, I feel like this energy is surrounding, you just journaling possibly, or again, like I said, just documenting and or possibly vlogging, a particular journey or a particular process that it took for you to get to a particular position or to achieve or accomplish a particular goal, okay, or a particular outcome. Alright, so again, the purpose for this is remove unnecessary steps and increase flow. Alright, so now we're seeing what needs to be handled when it comes to that documentation, that journaling, that streaming, okay? Again, there are things, there's a process to whatever this is, okay? I feel like what this is going to disclose itself later on, but until then, right, again, this is about removing unnecessary steps. So things that you may already be doing that could possibly be time consuming or could possibly be ineffective to, again, this process or this outcome that you're trying to achieve, right? It's time to kind of remove those things, okay, so that the flow of what I feel is kind of giving creativity can come through, okay? The flow of guidance can come through. Again, the flow of the documentation, because it's kind of giving some of these steps that you're doing could possibly block the flow or interrupt the flow or stagnate the flow, okay, in a sense to where what you're producing could be better or it could reach more, okay, if that's the energy, okay. If there was some things that you did not do, okay, take it how it resonates. That's the energy that's coming out, okay. There's the purpose is, okay, for a successful outcome, right? In any process, right? Wherever there's a process, the process is to achieve something. It is for something to take place. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I feel like that could have something to do with this. Okay, take it how it resonate. If you know, you know. Alright, but we gonna keep it moving. So now I gotta figure out what these decks is. So okay, we talking about removing unnecessary steps, but not only that, right? Also increasing flow. So the focus could, I feel like we gonna see. I don't know, because it's kind of giving. I definitely need to pull on both, right? Of course, but there's a middle piece, right? The removal, right? And then what needs to be done, right? And then seeing how flow increases, right? So we have to bridge this gap. Okay, so that's what I'm getting as well when it comes to this energy. Okay, so now I can figure out what the decks are. Okay, now I can figure out what the decks are. Okay, so this is quite interesting because for the removal, I was guided to this yes or no oracle. For the in-between phase, the bridging of the gap, we have the alchemy oracle, right? The oracle of transformation. And then we have the storm wave was current oracle for the flow. Okay, so yeah, I think we got the right decks, y'all, and I'm excited to see what comes out, especially out of this yes or no oracle, because it's literally a yes or no oracle, and we're talking about what it is that you need to remove, that's unnecessary. Okay, so let's see what we get out of this. We're gonna go ahead and cut and tap in and see what wanna come out. So for this energy, we have stay positive. Okay, so an unnecessary step, right? Because obviously this is a yes energy, right? So this is definitely the opposite of what it is you want to remove. So if there's always like feelings of doubt, or you get energies or moments where you just feel things aren't working out, or things aren't being produced how you want them to, or you're not receiving the outcome that you want. I feel like this is the energy, right, again, that will increase the flow, right? So it's interesting, and I hope that shows up in each dynamic here, that we see both aspects, because again, that was kind of basically what I was speaking towards when I said that. Give me a second, I don't know what just happened. Okay, so yeah, we gotta stay positive. Okay, and then look at what's at the bottom of the deck, y'all. I just looked and took a peek, but we got holding you back, right? And so again, I feel like, when you allow those negative thoughts, or for yourself to again partake in this unnecessary. Okay, so it's kind of given due to those negative thoughts, or again that doubt, that worry, right? You may act, or again, you may do certain things that are unnecessary, right? And I feel like that's what's holding you back, okay? In a sense, okay? And so I feel like it's kind of, you know, we just gonna see, but so we got to stay positive, okay? So moving forward with, again, getting from that place of doubt, okay, and acting on it, right? And again, moving through that. What needs to alchemize? What needs to be alchemized? And so we're finna see, or how you can alchemize this energy, okay? So what do we have? We have a philosopher's stone, okay? Philosopher's stone. This is, the element is gold, okay? And this is about the ultimate transformation is available. Turn challenges into power, okay? And it's interesting because I think we've been talking about power a lot, right? And with this power, right, I feel, you know, you already have the power, right, within you to get from what needs to be removed to what needs to increase, right? I feel like, you know, again, with this philosopher's stone, again, it is definitely given the philosophy. It's your philosophy, and not only is it your philosophy, but again, it's philosophies of it's other philosophies, right, that you have already, in a sense, either studied, mastered, okay, or learning, right? So take that how it resonate, okay? But yeah, I feel like with this energy as well. Again, in part 1, we spoke on something being set in stone, okay? And I feel like that's kind of the same energy, okay? And so it's something is available. It is going to be available to you, okay? And so I feel like, again, with the process, there's a process to this, okay? And again, when we're talking about documenting something or streaming something, okay, the process itself. So again, if you have already gone through this process and have already documented this, again, that's the philosophy, right? You have the answers. The answers are within what it is that you have already provided insight on, okay? If that makes sense. All right. So last but not least, we're going to go ahead and get into this storm waves, what's current oracle, and see what needs to be increased for this flow, okay? And yeah, it's interesting because it's kind of given, because the removal gave an opposite. I feel like this is going to kind of give an opposite. I don't know why I feel that, but I just do. But if it don't, it is what it is. It don't, okay? So they can have resonate, and it didn't. So we got charm, okay? Now, this is about social magnetism, okay? And when we talk about magnetism, again, that's being able to attract things to you, draw things into you, okay? Things that one are aligned, right? Because again, we also know that things that are not aligned to a magnet or attracted to a magnet, right, it repels. There's friction, okay? And so I feel like that's this energy here when it comes to, again, just really increasing, right, that magnetism, okay, increasing your ability to attract, okay. Yeah, I feel like with this energy, again, staying positive, right, not allowing negative thoughts to creep in, because again, we saw in part 1 as well, where again someone was trying to distract you, okay, was trying to again catch you off guard, okay. So and this could be again trick you out of your spot, okay. So pay attention and be aware, right, stay positive, right. Again, know that what has been documented, what has been written, it is as it is, right. As above, so below, okay. This is definitely giving again that destined energy here, and again, it's just really all about just being in an energy where you are magnetized and you're allowing what's within you to attract what it is that you deserve, what's for you, okay, what's aligned to you, okay. And again, if it comes to the process of this streaming, this documentation, right, again, if you allow yourself to just be again magnetizing in front of your audience, right, again, I feel like that will again attract and draw more views, more again just publicity, right, because that's something that we've been talking about when it comes to this particular series in general, okay. So yeah, y'all, and it's interesting because see, I'm sitting here tripping over my words, and I feel like that may have something to do with it as well, right. Just being more comfortable speaking and in front of an audience or a particular group of people, okay, or platform, okay. So just take it how it resonates, and even if it's not a platform, again, even if this is just a particular, like your own personal documentation or journal, right, I feel like again, even in that energy, right, I feel you will show up more, right, and the ideas and the creativity will shine brighter, right, if you allow yourself to stay in the energy of one, knowing, because that's the energy I'm getting off of all of this, right, and that's the deck we're gonna go to next, but two, not just knowing, right, but an energy of again just attraction, okay. So let's get the knowing oracle. I don't know, this right here, declare cognizance, Madam's knowing oracle. So this is what we're going to use next. Okay. So let's go ahead and clarify this stay positive energy for the collective, and we got connection. Period. Connection. The pieces are coming together, okay? And so I feel like, again, connection, connecting to an audience, connecting on a platform, connecting to the people, connecting to, again, your following, because again, this is what we've been talking about across all series, right? But if we're just going to be specific, this connection, we've been talking about a partnership coming in, a mentor coming in, right? We've been talking about a twin coming in, okay? We've been talking about a bodyguard coming in, okay? So again, all of these are connections, right? So I feel like with this particular energy, this is definitely giving like puzzle pieces, right? And so I feel all of the pieces to the puzzle that they're getting ready to be a complete, right? Like the outcome is getting ready to be complete. It's final, right? It is complete. It's done. Like the process was successful. Or produced a successful outcome, and I feel like that's what you're getting ready to see, okay? So when it comes to this, look, we got interview. I couldn't even get it out quick enough, and look, I love this. This is the same middle energy that showed up in part 1, the twin, and I don't recall what the other card was. In part 1, but again, they was both yellow, and now here we have in this same frequency the philosopher's stone with the inner voice. Wisdom speaks from within, okay? And so again, a philosopher is very wise, okay? And as they hold a lot of wisdom, and I feel like you have and hold this wisdom. And again, it's being confirmed, right, that your inner voice, right, what you've already documented, what you've already spoken on, okay, it's in stone. And look, we got certainty. It's a certainty. And then for this charm, and see, again, I just spoke on voice, okay? And so again, I feel like you have to be more grounded, more, set in stone when it comes to your voice, when it comes to speaking, when it comes to, again, the wisdom that's within you and how you relay it, or it's many aspects to this, so just allow, again, the pieces to fall as they may, and so like I said, when it comes to this charm, we got first thought. I can't make it up. So again, going back to the removal, right, again, if your first thought, because this given, all of this is already written, right? It is already documented. It's out there for the people to see, right? Or read, right? And so I feel like with that energy, right, of staying positive due to what's already been written or spoken, again, the first thought should now be of certainty, of knowing, right? So your charm should come from, and your magnetism and your attraction should come from your knowing. It should come from your thought, right? Your increase of how you pull and draw things in should come from your knowing. It should never come from the doubt or, what has tried or crept in, okay? So that's amazing energy that first thought came out. I love that. And that's funny because this is all about a frequency. This is all about, again, matching, you recognizing what matches, right? And again, like I said, a magnet is only going to connect with what matches, what aligns, and anything outside of that is going to repel, is going to have friction, okay? It's not going to come together at all. So again, I feel, and that's giving twin, right? Twins match, right? And it's interesting, right? Because I'm just gonna bring up, because we're talking about streamers, right? So with this energy, it's definitely giving AB and his twin brother, right? And so if you know, you know, and if you don't, then you want to go check it out. But this is kind of giving the energy of that, and again, twins, right? Either reconnecting, reuniting, right? Again, remaining positive about their connection, regardless of the separation, regardless of the circumstances, okay? Somebody, one twin looking out for the other, regardless of where one person is in life and where the other one is in life, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like, again, something is just is what it is. If motherfuckers is down for you and solid and is showing you that, you know, they can be a rock in your life, okay, a stone in your life, or you have proven this to someone, I feel something is getting ready to be reciprocated, right? We have truth, okay? You're getting ready to receive some type of truth. What is real becomes known. I literally just pulled this. What's real is getting ready to become known, okay? So yeah. I really don't feel like there's need to go any further. I really don't. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out with again, the Fairy Initiation, Fairy Law Tarot, okay? And we're gonna do this really quickly, you all. I'm not trying to rush the reading, but again, I just don't want the reading to be repetitive, okay? So yeah. What's the energy surrounding this connection? And stay positive. We have 9 of Thunder Wings. Interesting energy, okay? Okay, 9 of Thunder Wings, okay. And right behind that is the Ace of Mushroom Coins. So this energy is interesting because the 9 of Thunder Wings is definitely giving 9 of Wands, okay? 9 of Fire, alright? It's the energy of, again, protection. It's the energy of being on guard, right? It's the energy of, if need be, ready to clap back, because again, we talked about a motherfucker trying to sneak you, right? This could also be that same energy, that same frequency, and so again, this is just really you standing tall, standing firm on what it is that you know, what it is that has been written, and what's within you, okay? Because again, like I said, the Ace of Mushroom Coin is right right behind that, alright? It's literally right there. And so again, don't let nobody trick you out your spot, right? Again, just be easy, stay positive, okay? This Philosopher's Stone and energy, inner voice, I mean, we have the 8 of Thorn Blades, and so we saw the Thorn Blades come out in the first part. So this is air energy, okay? Swords and tarot, alright? So she's trapped in thorn cage she made. So this is again, you created this cage, right? After this is setting yourself free from, again, that cage of doubt, that cage of worry, okay, that you created yourself, or again, from, again, whatever energies you was picking up on, whatever was being sent your way, whatever distractions, whatever you know, you found an exit. But it's like it's given, you see an exit, you found an exit, you've been given an exit, right? And again, that exit was, I feel, remembrance. That exit was not even so much remembrance, but just, again, understanding that because this is in the bridge the gaps energy, frequency. I feel like this is, again, understanding that it takes time to get from point A to point B, right? To get to the removal of what's unnecessary, to increasing the flow of what is, right? Or the flow of production, right? Or the flow of success, right? But again, you can't determine what that space in between looks like. And I feel like in that space, you have to learn to not allow yourself to, again, cage yourself, okay? Is kind of what I'm getting off of this. So last but not least, okay, when it comes to the first thought and the charm, look, we got an ace, right? Again, the ace is, again, clarity. The ace is certainty, okay? But in this energy, the ace of thunder wings, going back to this frequency of fire, first spark hit her palm. Tiny lightning crackle. She feels power she never knew she had, okay? So again, and right behind that we have the bond, and that's definitely giving partnership. And this energy is definitely the lovers, okay? So there is a bond, there is some form of connection that is already written, that is already set in stone, that you already have your first thought of, and a first knowing, and a certainty of. And so you're being guided to, again, trust that. You're being guided to, again, feel the power, feel your power, and allow your power, right, to call it in, to pull it in, to, again, allow the newness, allow the attraction, allow the magnetism, okay? So yeah, that's basically what I have for you. And at the bottom of the deck, if we want to look at it, is the 8 of mushroom coins. And I feel like with this energy, it's the work that's put in, right? A lot of work is being put into this on both ends of this connection, okay? She craft coins from glowing shrooms, okay? Her hands are working, and we saw that. We saw your hands working. We saw, again, the first spark hit her palm. So your hands are magnetic. Your hands, okay, have charm. Your hands can attract, okay? What you produce with your hands, okay, it is going to bring forth a lot of money, a lot of wealth, okay? And so yeah, that's what we got for part 2, y'all. I hope it resonates. Love and light.